Dante's honestly not proving himself to be as big of a threat as we thought. Hey everyone, welcome to Prince the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 4 of Devil May Cry. And yeah, as I said in the cold open, Dante is perceived by all these different people in this series so far as being like this big deal. This big threat to the demons. This great demon hunter by the government and everything. And so far he's like, it's like he's very good, but he's not the best. And honestly, if he's the best of specifically the demon hunters, it's almost a little sad because Mary's just better than him in practically every way. And I'm not just saying that because, she's a girl, she's better. No. Shut up, for one, but no. I'm saying she's better because she's better. She's stronger. She's smarter. She is just better equipped. And the only thing that he really has over her is his demon powers, I guess. Which we don't even, and I don't think he even knows everything about. And while, while he's very clearly not going to be as injured from that bomb in his neck as Mary and the others think he'll be, or rather that he'll heal from it, it still has incapacitated him. And it's unclear, at least as the moment, how quickly he'll heal. But there's also the fact that the white rabbit, seems to be trying to, coerce something out of him. Probably his full demon power. What I'm thinking is the case right now is that Dante is, only playing with a fraction of his capabilities. He's, very skilled and, realistically speaking, for most soldiers and stuff, he would be top of the line. But within this world we're seeing, he's not a threat to the White Rabbit pretty much at all. He's not on the level of Mary in terms of people, in terms of humans. And let's be honest, he's not ready for this war against the demons that's going to come. With his lack of knowledge about his ancestry and everything alone, it's he's going to need to figure that shit out, and quick, if he's going to have any chance here. He's going to need to figure out his powers, exactly what he can do, how far he can go with them. There's a lot that he's just going to be woefully unprepared for, and unfortunately, he's probably going to die, actually die, if he doesn't get his shit together. Honestly, I think the best case scenario right now would be for him and Mary to work together. But Mary is, Mary. She's, I wouldn't say a bitch, but I really wouldn't say that. But she's very hard to work with because the problem is she sees a demon as a demon. There's no room for gray area. And it's very clearly painting her already as being in the wrong for that. Because of Dante alone, but there's probably going to be other examples. Dante alone is half demon. We know this. And she knows he's not even a full demon. But because of this, she still sees him only as his demon half. And she sees him only for that threat that he poses. And it's because of her father. It's absolutely because of her father's obsession with this. Which, as we saw, is for good reason. Like, her father, like, he almost lost his wife and daughter. He became obsessed because he wanted to protect them. But his obsession, we didn't really see how far it went, but it probably devolved into madness. And he probably started, even if not physically, but emotionally hurting the people he was trying to save. He at the very least would become very distant and probably very neglectful towards them. At the worst, he could have become aggressive because of how obsessed with it he became. And seeing this as a young girl, Mary probably internalized that hatred for demons from him, and like grew up thinking that she had to be that way too. I feel like there's a lot of potential trauma that she's going to have to work through in this series. Meanwhile, the government's not helping because, of course, they're fucking not. They're the government. And we even have this one dude, I don't remember his name right now, but who, you know, was a traitor for the demons, for the White Rabbit. Because, you know, his family was being threatened, which I can't blame him for. But also, it really doesn't help matters. And it got a dude very much killed, with the scientist, the professor there. So, shit definitely escalated. And we're going to continue doing so, I feel. I'm just very curious as to how a lot of this is going to go. We're starting to see other demons take spotlight too, and a lot tougher demons. Not as tough as the White Rabbit. He's still the strongest we've gotten so far. Outside of, you know, just talking about Dante's daddy. But he's not around anymore, so, you know. The ones who are around right now, the White Rabbit is the strongest we've seen. To our knowledge, unless there's a surprise. But, yeah, I'm very curious to see where this ends up going. And how this continues to escalate as much as it does. I've been enjoying this so far, like, a lot. And I really hope this continues to just do really well. I think this is the halfway point. I think there's 8 episodes. So, with the last episode already kind of, like, just shooting off into, like, a completely enhanced direction. I know what I'm trying to say. I cannot say it, though. Like, my mind is just not working. It just, you know, blew up into something bigger and everything. I don't know why my mind's not working, but yeah. With that already happening last episode, it's bound to just continue with this one. And then the second half is probably going to be even crazier. So, let's get into it and see what this episode has in store for us. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, I talked about last time how I feel like there's a lot of fans, not all of them, but at least a vocal minority of fans of, like, the Devil May Cry games and just general stuff who would be upset that Dante is sharing the spotlight with Mary. I feel like they'd feel like Dante is kind of getting shafted for time, and I compared it to Masters of the Universe Revolution, where or Revelation, whichever one was the first season, The names are literally like a letter off, so whichever one Tila was the main focus on instead of yeah, Adam instead of He-Man. Um Although here it's very clearly like more shared focus. While in season one of that series, Tila was the main focus. It was like mostly on her, while Adam, took a big back seat for a lot of it because he kind of died. Um, but the thing is, with this, it's a lot more split, and I feel like a lot of people still wanted Dante to just have all of the focus, which I feel is a little bit unfair. Other characters can exist and have focus put on them too, and I think should. And Mary is a fantastic character so far. Honestly, she's my favorite character in this so far. Her amount of depth and everything is fantastic. But I brought this up because I feel like there's another thing now with this episode that I feel like a certain group of fans are going to be upset at. Not necessarily just fans of the old games, but people who are watching this who have never played Devil May Cry like myself. There's going to be a certain group of fans who 100%, and again, I don't know if this is true because I haven't been like looking up spoilers and looking up people's thoughts on this series. When it first came out, I was avoiding stuff because I knew I was going to be reacting to it. And now that it's been out for a couple weeks, it's like, people don't talk about it anymore because that's how binge model stuff works. It has no staying power. This is why I hate the binge model. People have moved on to other things. This series is just completely out of the cultural discussion. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I am very confident that people were bitching about demons being shown in a quote unquote positive light. I feel almost 100% certain that there is probably people who bitched about that. Um, because let's be honest here, if anybody started watching this series who is, more Christian leaning, I bet a lot of them complained. If there's anyone who's watching this who, like, is into a lot of media where demons are just completely shown as being, like, blanket evil with no nuance at all, I'm sure they complain. But the problem is, I feel like that doesn't really do anything. The idea of just showing demons or anything really as just being pure evil with absolutely no nuance in any way, shape, or form, or not just demons, but anything. It's like, what does that actually say at this point? And don't get me wrong, I like seeing media where there are characters who are just bad, but that doesn't mean that they're just pure evil with no nuance. But that's, I feel like, what a lot of people would want from like characters like this, like demons specifically, especially because it's not like human characters. They're specifically demons, or at least that's what we would call them. Makaians, I think is the word, because I think that it said hell as we know it is called Makai. Um, it's just another realm, and we just gave a name to it because humanity does shit like that. But like, this is Mary's entire arc as a character, to to not judge a book by its cover, basically. As Luz Noceda from Owl House would say, not judging a book by its cover is a baby rule that even babies know. I actually watched that episode again just recently, so it was fresh on my mind. But yeah, it's like that is exactly correct, though. That is a baby rule that even babies know. Not judging a book by its cover is one of like the first kind of lessons that you teach kids, really. To not judge something or someone based on narrow-minded assumptions. And there's a lot of media nowadays that is keen on showcasing that through things like this, through situations and characters that, let's be honest, a lot of times in media from the past and just in real life have been unfairly demonized because of narrow minded assumptions. And yes, I use demonized as a word on purpose. Um, it's it's very obvious the kind of messages they're going for here. These are refugees from a dangerous, destroyed land who have come seeking asylum but are being used as bargaining chips, for one, and being mistreated as, just being seen as evil and bad by the people of this land. It's obvious what's going on here. And there are some people who will bitch about that and say, like, this show is woke and stupid, just absolute bullshit like that because they're dumbasses. Um, but yeah, it's pretty easy to see the message here. And especially in a time like this, with the government here in America that we have, this is a message, a theme that is really important. We have leaders who are actively demonizing people and even literally deporting them. People who were born in America, by the way, are being deported because of narrow minded assumptions. And, straight up lies as well, but because of bigotry and hatred based on race, based on skin color, based on all kinds of stuff like that. People are being discriminated against, killed, deported. They're having their rights stripped away, or at least attempted to, by literally the people in charge of this country. There is no better time for a series to talk about stuff like this, to showcase stuff like this. This is important shit. And we see Mary, a character who has always seen demons as nothing but evil. Again, probably due to her father's influence because of his clear, likely madness due to his obsession. She has to see at the end here that her assumptions are wrong. And we see this shown beautifully through a specific single visual. Because she had been drugged, she's seeing like them as like these cartoonishly depicted demons. Like the very stereotypical kinds of demons you see in media. But at the end there, after they're talking to her and explaining everything and she starts to actually come around, you see that facade fade. You see her vision clear up and she sees them for what they really are. And it had been flickering back and forth, but still. It's the exact moment and timing of that is clearly intentional. It flickers back to showing them as they are, and that's when she not only agrees to not kill them, but she's like, my backup's probably arrived and everything, I'll make sure you're safe. She's completely done a 180. After seeing her entire team violently and horrifically murdered, after seeing all of this that has gone on, she still is able to grow. She still is able to change her viewpoint based on information being given to her. She is able to grow as a person because new information has come to her that is making her question her beliefs and making her see things not as black and white as she has always seen them, but as more nuanced. And this is why she's my favorite character in this series. The amount of great character work here, the writing, the depth is so good. You can tell she's still struggling with the idea. She's not fully won over or anything. She's not going to be championing Macayan rights, but she's she's growing. She's starting to see that she may not be entirely correct. And she even the entire time she's pointing her gun at them, she's still listening to them speak. She still goes out of her way to not shoot, not do anything until she hears them out. Because she could tell that they were different than the big demon knight guy chasing her, or the white rabbit, or the plant bitch. She could tell they were different. It was because of the drugs in her system that were making her hallucinate, as well as just her own preconceived notions, that was making her as aggressive as she was. And she still, despite that all, listened. I wish more people were like this in real life, because there's too many people who would have absolutely shot without hesitation. The instant they came out of the locker, there's so many people who would have just without hesitation shot every one of them. The kids and both parents. And Mary is not only just smart enough, but, caring enough, good enough to hesitate because of information she just witnessed visually before even being told anything. She could tell things were up. And she even knows that they let her in the first place, that they gave her the ability to hide in the first place. She, despite her biases, despite the drugs, fucking with her senses and her ability to properly think about the situation, she still gave them a chance and heard them out. And it worked. Again, I don't think she's going to be perfectly on their side from here on out, but she's going to be questioning shit, and that's good. Meanwhile, Dante has been kidnapped by the White Rabbit and his Oni brothers, and the government officials, including the vice president, was kidnapped as well. So all the government officials, the vice president, Dante, and Enzo are all on Air Force One together, or Air Force Two, or whatever, and being held prisoner. And the DVD, the message from the White Rabbit's basically just like, "Oh, hey Dante, you're Sparta's son. You can't really deny it at this point. You have all these miraculous powers, blah, 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 your mother, your brother. By the way, I'm going to kind of kill everyone here. I think their time's up. But, you could stop it if you want to. It's up to you, really. You just have to activate your devil trigger." Of course, he has no idea what that means, but... And so, Dante, does end up fighting and eventually does seem to activate what I guess is the devil trigger. This is more than likely something from the games that I just don't know about because I've never played the games. But he basically turns half his face and arm and that entire arm on that side into demon. So he's able to obviously do a lot more, ends up ripping off the red Oni's arm and then killing him with his own sword, which caused the blue Oni to activate the explosives, and now Dante and everyone else are falling through the sky and kind of leaves it off there. Yeah, Dante, while Mary's story is definitely focused on her, like, kind of like starting to see how her bigotries and her assumptions have been so narrow-minded and not been seeing the whole picture. Dante's story is clearly about him learning about himself and becoming as strong as he needs to be in the future to face down these stronger enemies. And so we're getting to see just how all of this goes down on both sides. And I like that we have this dual story. I like that we are focusing on both of them because it gives a couple different perspectives and a couple different types of plot points to follow. It allows for a good variance, and I like seeing that. It sucks that Mary's entire team died, though, all of those major characters. I mean, I'm not entirely surprised. It just kind of sucks because I like them, and I'm gonna miss Tina Majorino being in this. Also, like, establishing that two of them had a relationship with each other shortly before their deaths, and then having Ninja just like break down in like horrifically sad tears and just like freaking out before she's like slashed in the back. It's like, Jesus, you didn't need to do that. Like, it still would have been effective. You didn't need to like rip our hearts out too. Like, goddamn. That was just like, that was brutal. Um, it just it was just wild and shocking. And now Mary's the only one left because even the one guy was like killed before and is now just like being like imitated by the shapeshifter. So yeah, quite some crazy shit going down. But I'm really enjoying this because there's a lot of good build up and setup for things. We also do get to see the flashback stuff with Dante and Virgil showcasing their powers. And there's some big things with that. Both of them showcase their powers. I mean, the last episode kind of proved to us that Virgil is still alive because of how the shapeshifter's powers work. This episode also shows that Virgil had the powers too, which means that he might even be further along in figuring them out, and probably is. Considering I know that he's at least for some, in some ways, an antagonist for some period of time in the games. One of the few things I know. I think he works with Dante at times, though. I think it's like kind of like a sometimes he's a good guy, sometimes he's a bad guy situation. Um, don't correct me on that, by the way, because that might be like addressed in this series, and I want to remain as spoiler free as I can. Um, but yeah, the fact is, we know he's alive. We know he has powers too. We know that their mother knew everything. That she is very aware of their powers. That she was very aware of who their father was. It wasn't like he disguised himself as a human and tricked her. No, she knew. Fully, completely. It's it's interesting too because she and supposedly Virgil, even though again we know it's not true, were killed by demons. I assume ones who opposed what Sparta did. But I wonder I assume they were also probably after the amulets, which is like pretty reasonable. But the question is, where was Sparta? Why did he abandon them? Is he still alive or not? I feel like there's a lot of questions in that regard as well. And I'm very curious to find out what that ends up revealing. Like I said though, no spoilers. I know that things are not going to go in this series exactly how they go in the game, but still, I just don't want to be spoiled on anything that could possibly come up. Um, but I'm really enjoying this. I love the action. I love the soundtrack. I love the animation, the voice acting, and yeah, it's just there's so many good like developments for this. And I'm just really hoping this continues to be as good as it has been. So let me know down in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Devil May Cry? And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.